Grateful for this sheltered place with light in every window. Say welcome, welcome, share this feast. Come in away from sorrow. Father, mother, daughter, son, neighbor, friend, and friendless, all together, everyone, in the gift of loving kindness. Grateful for what's understood and all that is forgiven. We try so hard to be good, to lead a life worth living. Father, mother, daughter, son, neighbor, friend, and friendless, all together, everyone, let grateful days be endless. Grateful for each hand we hold, gathered round this table.
Yeah, that does bring a nice big sigh, doesn't it? Welcome. Welcome everyone to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in our multi-platform format. So today we have roomies, Hollies, and Zoomies, and even outsidees today. So we are 4-platform service today. The kids of all ages are making stone soup outside and listening to the stone soup story. And those of us who are in the building today will be joining them for the mindful bite for our bread service a little later. And Zoomies, I hope you'll have just a little morsel of something you can have a bite with as well. If you are in the building, please do not connect to Zoom so that our bandwidth and everything we need technologically works better. And of course, be patient with us as we are balancing all of these things to make things as accessible and open and available to as many people as possible. So I am Reverend Lydia Ferrante Roseberry. I'm the minister of this congregation, and I'm joined today by intern minister Lisa Moore. And in a bit later in the service, we'll be joined by Jessica Lakeman, our director of Lifespan Faith Formation. We have music today from Tad Coriath, our music director, and the band, Tracy Bush on bass, Mark Hughes on percussion, and the voices of Amy Austin and Clara Kelly. So thank you so much. And of course, our tech team today, who help things run smoothly for everybody, is Don Price, Deborah Mensch, and Mary Stackpole. Thank you. And of course, all of you as well. Those of you in here, those of you in our hall, and our Zoomies, welcome. As I say the welcome words today, I invite you to shift into gallery mode if you're a Zoomie, and take a look around and see who's joining you on Zoom today. And those of you in either of our rooms or in our outdoor space, I don't know how well they can hear me just now. Those of you, just look around and look at your fellow congregants, many of whom you may not have seen in person in a long, long time. You are all welcome here today. In all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes, and sizes that come together in your uniqueness, you are welcome here. In all the ways you experience and express gender, you are welcome here. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. In all the ways you make your living and all the places you are from, you are welcome here. Christian, pagan, humanist, Jew, Buddhist, mystic, Muslim, Unitarian, Universalist, with whatever traditions you have gathered in your life to create your spiritual life, you are welcome here. No matter how long you've been away, nor how soon until you return, you are welcome here. And whether you come with laughter in your heart today or tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join us with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. We welcome you today. This congregation seeks to both balance spiritual exploration and justice making. And our justice initiatives this year are immigration, climate justice, and mental health. We also commit ourselves to being anti-racist in ourselves and in our institutions and take this calling quite seriously. And we acknowledge that the Boulder Valley and the Front Range of Colorado is the territory of the Arapaho people. There's no joys and concerns today, so if you do have something you were hoping for me or Lisa to know, please do. You can leave a note at the welcome table if you're a roomie or a Holly. And if you're a Zoomie, you can leave a note in the chat, and we'll be sure to get back to you. There's also, in the chat, they'll be putting a place for you to email us directly. If you're new here, we're glad you found us and hope that even in our virtual multi-location community, you can experience the warmth and the love of this congregation. Each Sunday is different, so please come back a few times to really get to know us. If you are a Zoomie today and want to get better connected, see the chat window. And if you're a roomie or a Holly, you can go to the welcome table. And if any of you would like to introduce yourselves today, please feel free to stand and just say your name and where you live. And Zoomies can put that in the chat. It helps us get to know who's amongst us, but only if that's something you're comfortable with. I'm going to invite Lisa to light our chalice now.
If you are in the Zoomiverse, I invite you to light your chalice now. And if you're in the fellowship hall, somebody there will light the chalice in that room. Looks like they've got a nice flame going outside already. And I will light the chalice here in our sanctuary. And if you want, you can say along or whisper the words as you are welcome. I will go slowly. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. And I have some opening words for us this morning from Katie Romano Griffin. Come, let us enter into this hope, this space of hope and community. Let us enter into this space with our sorrows, our joys, our passion and compassion. Come and let us enter into this space with the stories of our ancestors, for their strength and wisdom beats in our hearts. Come into this space, present to the beloved companions who move beside us. Come into this space, mindful that together we are building a future for other generations. Come into this space, let us worship and share bread together. And I will now ring the bowl for a second time, inviting us into a moment of silent meditation.
Now you have a chance to be part of the band with the instruments that you were given when you came in. We're going to sing We Give Thanks. You're going to hear an intro, and when you hear Mark come in on the drums, then you're going to pick up your instruments and shake, rattle, and roll.
What a gift to be hearing live music again. And I'm so grateful for Tad for thinking that you can participate with percussion instruments until we can all be singing together. So thank you. This is a time in our service where we get to welcome new members into the life of the fellowship. We have 5 new members to welcome. 4 of them, I believe, are in this room right now. I see 2 for sure, but I can't kind of recognize people with masks. If you are some of the new members, please come up in this moment. And one person, Carmen, is on Zoom, and so we will have her introduced in a moment. It feels especially powerful and beautiful for me to welcome new members in these times when our need for interdependence, so there's 3 people here, so Susan is missing. Could you check if Susan Reddick is on Zoom? A quick check, thank you. In these times, when it has become so clear how important our interdependence is, it feels even more special to me to invite people to join the fellowship. So I'm just so grateful for the 5 of you who have been a part. Is that Susan? Excellent, come on in. Glad to have you. I'm going to have Rachel Setsky begin sharing this morning. Do you want the mic?
Good morning. I am Rachel Setsky, and I am so excited to be in our sanctuary. I'm one of the co-chairs of Path to Membership with Holly-Ann Giffen, and we are here, Holly-Ann's on Zoom, to welcome and covenant with the individuals of the November class as they become official members. And I invite all of those, in the room to already come forward. And we know that one person is on a Zoom, like Lydia said. The terrific folks that bring their yearnings and passions, and they nourish our community by their presence. Their photos and biographies will be sent out to our fellowship listserv tomorrow. And please join us as we now officially receive them into the fellowship through our covenant.
I'll invite each of you to speak into the mic and just state your name.
Jeremy Dion.
John Sickery.
Kathy Allen. Sue Reddick.
Thank you all. And there's one more person in Zoom.
Carmen Jura.
We're going to get a hello from Carmen somewhere, right?
Yay.
Did you hear me?
They heard you. That's good, Carmen. Everybody on Zoom did.
We hope that as a member of this congregation, you will allow yourselves to know and to be known, to minister to and be ministered unto, to love and be loved by this congregation. The relationships we form in our fellowship are based on the needs of the soul, needs that render each of us vulnerable and therefore reliant on each other's grace and goodness and the generosity of spirit.
Historically, our congregations are part of the free church movement. Wait a minute. This means two things that are important to what we're doing today. Oh, goodness. I think I'm going to shave my head. Mullet! Yes! Excellent. Thank you for that idea. So it means two things, the fact that you're joining. First of all, that Unitarian Universalism is a freely chosen religious tradition. No one is born into it, then needs to hang on to it. You have come here of your own free will. And second, that our faith requires no allegiance to a dogma or a creed. We come here together as spiritual seekers. And so that actually makes the journey a little bit more complex and maybe even more fun. So this is not an easy religious tradition. It's one that's going to ask of you to continually be forging for yourself what your beliefs are based on your experiences in life and based on our Unitarian Universalist history as well. So even congregations, even free ones, we're covenantal organizations. That means that what we do together, how we do what we do together, is the important part of us being together. And we root our work in love that shows up as justice, in love that shows up as caring, in love that shows up as acceptance, in love that shows up as courage. And we welcome you into this path with us. And we'll now covenant with you. Give Janet the mic.
Good morning. I'm Janet Meyer, Vice President of the Board of Trustees. On behalf of the board, it is my privilege to welcome you as the newest members of the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We hope that you find with us a place where you can both nurture your spirit and be a part of healing our world. Will the new members please speak your parts, whether you're in the sanctuary or muted on Zoom? You can start.
Ours is a religious community which honors the past, envisions the future, and lives with passion in the present. As we welcome you among us, we pledge to you our support. You will be cared for, and you will be asked to care for others within and beyond this community. Today, we rededicate ourselves to our vision of bringing love and reason to life and building a just and compassionate world. Together, we can make our congregation a model of our vision for the larger community. In the spirit of love and freedom, we have affirmed our intentions to help and encourage one another. May the relationships we have recognized today be a source of strength and joy to us all. Welcome into fellowship. So delighted. Can you say what it is that we're giving? Yes, and now each of you will receive a name badge and a chalice, these chalices, and a welcome book, actually, a book that with some details about Unitarian Universalism. These chalices are made by Al Paparella and a gift to our he's a member of our congregation, and he makes them as a gift to new members. So, grateful to have you, and looking forward to getting to know you better, each of you. Welcome again. Let's give him a little heartier welcome. And you may be seated. You may be seated now.
Each week we remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives and this community by donating half of our plate away to those organizations that share our values. For the month of August, the half plate goes, whoops, didn't fix that one on the screen. Today, our half plate goes to the Boulder County NAACP. NAACP works to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic equality and rights of all persons and to eliminate race-based discrimination. The Boulder chapter was chartered in 2017 and works with advocates and agencies throughout the county on various throughout the county that affect on issues that affect the greater community. I really have to write more neatly. Please give generously, as you so often do. Roomies and Hollies, there are offering plates and a box next to the exits if you'd like to place checks or cash in there. And anyone on Zoom can donate via text chat at the number you'll see shortly on a slide. As our musical reflection begins, we invite you to reflect upon this question. When was there a time where you felt especially welcomed? And Zoomies, you can write write your answer in the chat if you wish. For the work of this fellowship, bringing love, reason, and compassion and justice to this world, we dedicate our offerings to the fellowship and to the Boulder County NAACP. Thank you.
I'm loving the smell of that fire. For those of you who are here, it's kind of magical. It's bringing the outside into us. Well, Thursday will be Thanksgiving. And it's become a complex holiday. It kind of reminds me of Easter for Unitarian Universalists. Are you fixing me? Thank you. There, is that better for everybody? Better for me. So it's become a complex day. It's kind of reminding me of Easter for Unitarian Universalists, but with a lot more historic pain attached to it. So I want to share a little bit about some of that history, but also what's a little bit underneath that we can hold, and holding both of them. The only written first-hand account of Thanksgiving came from Edward Winslow in December of 1961. And this is what he wrote in a letter to a friend. Our harvest being gotten in, our governor sent 4 men on fowling, so that they might after a more special manner rejoice together. And after we had gathered the fruits of our labors, they 4 in one day killed as many fowl as, and with a little help beside, served a company almost a week. At which time, among other recreations, many of the Indians coming amongst us, and among them their greatest, the King Massasoit, and some 90 men, whom for 3 days we entertained and feasted, and then they went out and killed 5 deer, which they brought to the plantation and bestowed upon our governor and upon the captain and others. Believe it or not, those few words, as I said, is one long sentence, and that whole sentence is how the whole story of Thanksgiving is rooted in. That's what got us to our national Thanksgiving holiday. So here's some myths about Thanksgiving. Some of them you may already know. Things that kind of get perpetuated in what people the cultural narrative about this holiday. First of all, that the history of this country begins when the Europeans arrived, and this was somehow the first meal, or a first meal of gratitude ever to happen, the first Thanksgiving. People have lived on this land with their cultures, their connections, their religions, for at least 12,000 years before Europeans arrived. Second of all, that the arrival of the Mayflower was the first contact between the Wampanoag tribe and the Europeans. That's not true. There was centuries worth of contact between Native Americans, and particularly the Wampanoag, and Europeans. And it involved slave raidings by Europeans. And it involved a lot of violence by Europeans. And 2 or maybe more of the Wampanoags had already spoken English when the Pilgrims arrived. Third, that this shared dinner, this is the one we learned in elementary school, was just some friendly convivial gathering. And there may have been some friendliness to that particular gathering, but there's no doubt that there were some political reasons too. In fact, the chief of the Wampanoag leader reached out to the English at Plymouth and wanted an alliance with them. So it wasn't exactly the reverse. And the Wampanoag helped the settlers. This we often know in our history. They helped them. They were just about dying. And it was the Native Americans of that area that helped them kind of learn how to cultivate the land and how to catch which animals. But Chief, I'm going to apologize for how difficulty I have saying the names. Osanemequin reached out to the English at Plymouth, and he wanted an alliance, not just because he was friendly, but because he wanted it as an opportunity to fend off some tribal rebels, and because his people had been decimated by disease. And fourth, this Thanksgiving myth does not address the deterioration of this relationship that happened over time, culminating in 1675 with the most horrific colonial Indian wars on record, King Philip's War. And finally, it doesn't address the Wampanoag's survival and adaptation over the centuries, which is why they're still here, despite the terrible odds. Now, the English had a long history of fasting, not feasting when they wanted to give Thanksgiving. Personally, I prefer feasting to fasting. But there was a woman named Sarah Josepha Hale. She was apparently the Martha Stewart of the 19th century, and she kind of wanted to turn that around. She took Winslow's passage and used her popular magazine to promote Thanksgiving recipes. And so it became then a New England holiday for a period of time. And then in 1858, she petitioned President Lincoln to turn her regional holiday into a national one. And Lincoln established the Thanksgiving holiday in 1863. But there was a political agenda behind that as well. It was used in part to unite the North and the South states, and also as a bit of a cover-up for his own atrocities against people indigenous to this country. Because just a year prior, a mass execution took place of the Dakota tribal members. Corrupt federal agents kept the Dakota Sioux from receiving food and provisions. And finally, at the brink of death and starvation, members of the tribe fought back, resulting in the Dakota War of 1862. And in the end, President Lincoln ordered 38 Dakota men to die from hanging. So he used the Thanksgiving holiday to kind of put a spin or to try and reunite and have that be a day that then would sort of make peace after that horrible atrocity. So, it may not leave us much to celebrate, but that's not what I'm here to tell you. What I'm here to share about is that holding history is complex. And it's not only is it not okay, it's not morally just to shape a story to our own liking, a story that has such roots in pain. On the other hand, the other taproot of this holiday is about gratitude. And that taproot, that part of that history goes way back before the first Thanksgiving that we've been told about. That taproot goes into the wisdom of our native cultures. Now, some native people use the Thanksgiving holiday as a national day of mourning. Since 1970, the United American Indians of New England have marched through historic Plymouth, Massachusetts, to tell a more truthful story. But like all populations, let's not create a monolithic response, because other Native people use the opportunity to have a powwow, and some Native people have a Thanksgiving feast. It's a complex holiday. And knowing its history, I hope it's becoming more complex for white people as well. So the spiritual truth is about this gratitude that isn't a one-day moment of appreciation after a gluttonous meal, but it's about a gratitude for every moment, every day, every meal, every bite. In fact, the Wampanoag have had traditions of sharing every bite, every meal, every animal that was killed, everything. There was a moment of thanks afterwards. Our Thanksgiving is a day to slow down enough to give gratitude, but there's an opportunity for so much more. Before we begin our bread ceremony, I want to offer you a short work from Matika Wilbur. She's a visual storyteller from the Swinomish and Tulalip tribes, which is now in coastal Washington state. She began Project 562 to photograph and collect stories from all 562 federally organized Indian tribes in the U.S. to show their realness, diversity, and vibrancy of Indian country, and to take us beyond some of the stereotypes we might have. Here you will see Native youth sharing the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving address, and listen closely to when it is shared.
Agwegoaska Druat Wet Nuni, Negon Ligula, the Nade Tinoladus, Ne Ungwesu Antonia Duha, Negon Ligula, To.
Agwegoaska did the Wawe Nuni, Negonigo, the Nade Tinoladus, Ne Yukinista Haji Hanjade, Dano Onegasu, Dano Gojasu, Tony Duha, Negonigola, To.
Agwegoaska did the Wawe Nuni, the Tinoladus, Ne Ohandesu, Nuquatsu, Dano Telaso, Tony Duha, Negonigola, To.
Agwegoaska Druat Wet Nuni, Negon Ligula, the Nade Tinoladus, Ne Gunhekwa, Gahi Sua, Uji. Nuat Sua, Tania Duhak, Neguat Negula, To.
Agwegoaska did the Wawe Nuni, and Guan Negula, and the Dayton Valene, Gundelia, Ogilet Sua, and Ojida Ogun, Tony Duck, Neguan Negula.
The Thanksgiving address is supposed to be done every morning and at the end of the day again, to give thanks every day to those things that are always there, that provide for you and things. Like the earth and the trees and the air and the wind and the water, all your foods.
May we practice holding a large expanse of history, aware of the challenges, but also being attentive to the fact that there is gratitude in each moment. May this Thanksgiving for you be a day that's more than just one moment of gluttonous feasting, and I hope you enjoy every bite of it, but also a reminder to feast every moment on the abundance of the earth. So it is the tradition of this congregation to gather in a ceremony of gratitude on the Sunday before Thanksgiving and bring bread from our individual heritages. You'll see outside my family's Italian ciabatta. You might see some Swedish rolls, or maybe, I don't know if Jean Canella brought something from New Orleans this year. And oftentimes there's some good old Midwestern Wonder Bread out there. We do this to remind ourselves of our ancestors and the diversity of this congregation and the gratitude we can cultivate with each bite of food. Now, COVID has been a complicator. Last year we did it all on video, and this year we're doing it a little different as well. Lisa.
Roomies and Hollies, you are now invited to go outside where the kids have been making stone soup. Roomies, the people here in the sanctuary, if you would like to please exit through the door, the sanctuary door, and point this one right over here that goes directly outside. People in the fellowship hall, if you can just go out the main doors, thank you very much. And then go outside to the Sarah's Street, through the Sarah Street exit. And then Zoomies, if you could just go get your bread and be ready, but don't eat it yet. Find yourself a nice tasty morsel at one of the tables spread out outside. Again, don't eat it yet. And if you'd rather stay inside, just raise your hand and a hospitality team member will go and get a piece of bread and bring it back to you.
And once you get your piece of bread, if you'll just find a spot out here to be. Gluten-full, and gluten-free is in the middle. Both sides are gluten-full. Gluten-full are on both sides next to the building, and gluten-free is in the middle, around the corner. So this morning, as folks are grabbing their bread, I invite you to find some bread and then find a space for yourself out here in our outdoor space. For those of you who are coming out, it is wonderful to see everyone. And though I know we love to talk to our friends and see each other, I invite you into a space of ritual. We still have a couple folks coming out. So as you find your piece of bread, please just take a few minutes and hold on to your piece. Look at it. Smell it. Become acquainted with the piece of bread you have chosen, though please do not yet eat it. Obviously not directed at anyone in particular. This morning, I invite you all to join me in a ritual I have adapted from Sherry Prudhomme. The ritual of breaking bread together is one that has been shared by humans for millennia. You know what? I'm outside, and this might help all of you outside hear me a little better.
Okay. The human family in various forms has been breaking bread together for millennia, giving thanks for the harvest, and as a prayer that the earth will sustain life once again. This ritual connects us to each other in ways that we can only begin to know. Through time and space, to our history, and to all people who have looked into each other's eyes across a table, to the earth and to the cycle of life. As you hold your piece of bread, I invite you to look around. Look across, or scroll through the faces on Zoom. See the faces of the humans this morning we are sharing this ritual with. Let us know ourselves as one body. Though we may be separated by walls or internet, separated across miles, let us remember that we are one community and one body. A body broken in our humanness, complicit in and impacted by systems of oppression that were established long before any of us were born. Brokenhearted, as our compassion leads us to feel our suffering and that of others. In a moment, I will sound a bell, and I invite you to physically break your bread, and with it, allow your heart to break open. Break the bread, but do not yet eat it. We're not there yet. Hold the broken bread and notice what wells up in your broken heart in this moment, in this week, this month, this trying year. And then in our shared silence, allow a word or phrase to come to you that gives voice to some of the grief, fear, pain, or suffering on your heart. When you feel moved, you are invited to speak this word or phrase out into our shared sacred space, or to type it in the chat, allowing words to tumble over words, trusting that the whole is larger than any one of us can hold. Let us enter into a time of shared reflection and the breaking of bread. Grief. In this space of our gathered community, having given voice to our grief and our pain, let us notice the larger forces that hold us. The earth, its body which holds us, sustains us, and gives us life. The ultimate mystery, the source and sustenance of all creation that some call God. The abiding force of love that holds us and will never let us go. So much love and care, passion and dedication is present here today, wherever you are. Our life together as a community is a blessing, and each of us is a tapestry woven of experiences and understandings for which we can be grateful. In a moment, we will sound the bell again, and you are invited into just a moment of meditation. Hold your pieces of bread and look at them closely. See the miracle of it. made from the earth and water, warmed by fire. As you notice the texture and the smell of the bread, let into your awareness your own gratitude for all that life gives you and sustains you. What do you have to be grateful for in this moment, this day, this week, this month, and this year? As you feel moved to speak or type your word or phrase into our shared space, allowing words to tumble over words, trusting that they will be held in the web of all existence. Beauty. Community. Having honored both our grief and our gratitude, we now honor one another and those who have come before. Look into one another's faces and see there the brokenness and the blessing, the reflection of our common humanity. As we break bread together to be nourished and to notice once again the forces of life and love that do persist. Now take your bite, knowing that in this moment, with this simple act, we are connected to those here, those at home on Zoom, those still inside the sanctuary, those of congregations across the country and world who engage in this ritual, some maybe on this very morning. And to all those across the millennia who have shared a bite of bread together in ritual. May their memories be a blessing, and may the truth of our interconnectedness lead our journey on. I now invite those who are outside with me to finish up your bread and then return to your seats inside as we all enjoy the gift of music. Zoomies, you may eat as long as you want. Thank you, band. Thank you so much. I do have a couple of announcements. We have a whole set of services planned for you on the Sundays of December as well as Christmas Eve. And also on Thursday, December 9th, and in here in the sanctuary, we will be doing our When Hope is Hard to Find service, sanctuary only. So that's for folks for whom this might be a particularly challenging season every year, or maybe just this year. And it's generally it's a contemplative service of sharing. And I'm going to repeat that on Zoom on Friday night, December 10th. So there's an opportunity for people to do it in person if they'd like, and there's an opportunity to do it only on Zoom as we did last year. From the reservations team that's working very hard to keep our sanctuary full and keep everything accessible. So by no later than Monday, you should have an email about how to request in-person seats for services in December. Please send your response by a week from Monday on November 29th. Invitations for in-person seatings for each service should go out no later than the Wednesday prior to the service. So does that make sense? You'll get your invitation this Monday. You have till the next Monday to return it, if I'm getting this correctly, and then you should learn by Wednesday each week about which services you can come to. If you or someone you know needs help with these forms, has never seen them before, at whatever reason that might be, please contact Ann Bridgens using the information in the chat, or check with Deborah Mensch at the AV desk following the service. We want to make these services really as accessible as possible, not just who can click onto the form as quickly as possible. And if you don't receive connections weekly, you will not receive this email. So you can join the email list and receive our high-value, low-traffic communications by using a link in the chat if you're a Zoomie, or Roomies and Hollies, you can sign up at the Sanctuary AV desk. Oh, okay, I was thinking of the welcome table as well, probably has an opportunity for that. So, blessings to everyone. Oh, yeah, sorry, I thought you were taking a picture or something.
I want to just also mention that today is the last day for getting in your donations for our auction. The auction is going to open for bidding online on November 26th, which is the Friday after Thanksgiving. It'll continue until December 5th. On December 4th, we're going to be having an in-person event with bluegrass music in here on this stage for those who feel comfortable joining in that kind of space. And in the fellowship hall, we'll be able to preview the physical items and the other items that are being offered in the auction. So it'll be a joyous and fun and COVID-safe event. We hope that you can join us. And please, please, please make your donations and please give generously. Thank you.
We'll now extinguish the fellowship chalice here and also in the fellowship hall, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, or the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. Thank you, and blessed be.